Friday, but with Easter Friday this week or this month, we decided to make it a Wednesday. So I see that we don't have a huge amount of people in the room, but anyway, for those that are here, how can I help? I'll remind you that we basically, the whole idea with the FAQ is that, I'll get it up here for you quickly, is that it's really meant to be a question and answer session around anything to do with wealth going global, asset mastery. But with all due respect, I don't mind answering anything about anything. I always enjoy these sessions because we get to talk. Just to remind you, I'm not giving you financial advice. I am just giving you my opinion, my experience, my lessons, the mistakes I've made, and what I've realized has worked over time. So I really kind of wanted to, ask everyone, and again, if you want to put up your hand and ask questions, or if you just want to type in the chat box if you don't feel comfortable speaking publicly, how can I help? What can I do? Eugene, you asked for these. You said you wanted them. How can I help, dude? What's going on? Just by the way, Eugene's got the most amazing breakdown of all the different asset classes with all their times and expected returns and everything. Which, by the way, Shane, I think I've sent to you, and I think we definitely need to work with Eugene and get him to put his name to it because it's his source material. But the point being is it's an amazing resource.
Okay, Scott, since you put me on the spot, there is still two issues that were outstanding after our previous conversation concerning Pathfinder. The one is that I would like you to give me some feedback concerning the suggestion that we made with the coaches that is allocated to the course. Remember, we made a suggestion, and I think it came from Shamia as well, that you not just only allocate a life coach, but actually a wealth, I'm not sure what the right word would be, but somebody that's actually been there, done that, and can coach you and say, listen, this is what you do on the portal. This is what it means. This is where you look for the returns, those type of things. And then when you've got a certain question on a certain asset class, it's not somebody that hasn't done it before. They've been in the asset class. You remember that one conversation we had?
Yeah. So I've got good news for you. And it's never going to work with just getting a coach. It doesn't matter how qualified or good that coach is, because unless they understand the game we play, they can always help with coaching advice, but they can never help with, as you say, what are the different assets? How do they work? How does the platform work? All that type of stuff. And I think for me, the very, very good news is that the course I did 2 years ago to become an internationally certified coach. And again, to remind everyone the story why I did that, I never wanted to be a coach. I've had people asking me to coach them for 20 years, but I didn't ever want to be a coach. And my mom actually got me to do it because she said, Richard Branson uses coaching to get results for people, and I'm passionate about getting results. Anyway, long story short, and I haven't gone off track to your question, Eugene, is that I did it. And we realized the only way to help provide the solution you're looking for was for Alex to also do the coaching course. So he started that about 3 weeks ago. We're 27th of March. So I think about the 5th of March. So however many weeks that is. I've seen a phenomenal improvement in Alex in terms of just his people skills and how it works from a coaching environment perspective. And obviously what that allows us to do now is you've got Scott and Alex that can marry together the coaching methodology of because there's a psychology of how to get science and success, including emotions to get results. And then there's obviously the knowledge base around the assets and the investment, et cetera, et cetera. So to answer your question, Eugene, it's a work in progress. It's about a 3-month course that he's on. He's already done the course, except there's another, so again, I'm speaking from when I did it. It's like a 1-week course where you do like fully intensive 5 days a week. And then for another 3 months, you have to do all this facilitated, I don't know how to, the word that I come to mind is role play, but it's all internal stuff. You're not allowed to go external until you've been certified. So he's going through that process at the moment. So back to your question, unfortunately, these things are not quick fixes, because what's taken me 28 years to learn, and in Alex's case, 7 years to learn, you can't just give to a Samir tomorrow morning. Does that make sense? So that's how we're bridging the gap. There's 3 things that we're wanting to achieve with that. The first is that at our mastermind level, with our intention, and I'm just being frank and honest, is that we ultimately want to create let's call it a higher level mastermind, and then let's call it the Pathfinder per se, whatever. But where you've got 2 different, and I'll run the mastermind and Alex will run the Pathfinder. The other thing that we're wanting to achieve with that is also, there's a huge need for millennials. I'm going to call them the under 40s, wanting to know what to do, how to do it. And they don't associate with, I don't even like saying this, but like old people like me, whereas Alex is 29, and so he can kind of talk their language and their needs and what's going on, and AI and ChatGPT and everything in between. So the idea is not only to create that other level, but also to have someone that can run it, that can associate with a different type of person. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is, we are working with Samir. I mean, we actually have an internal coaching session tomorrow with our leadership team with her. I mean, I think she's amazing. And so we're trying to figure out how to bridge the gap between her knowledge and coaching ability, but obviously being able to help with the investment side. And I don't really know how we do that in the short term, because it takes years to learn what we know.
Yeah, I think the other suggestion was that when people want specific knowledge-based answers, what's preventing you from using somebody that's already on Wealth Migrate, for instance? So what I'm putting it out there is that, yes, a person that has been on your platform for many years, I wouldn't be able to do the psychology and coaching and things, but certainly a person with experience would be able to tell the guy, listen, this is how you do this, this is how you do this is what it in practice means to invest in different currencies, this is what it means to invest in different asset classes, those five important things, but with real life experience. And the idea is not to be how can I say, accredited. That's not the idea. The idea is to help somebody to sort out these immediate problems, because again, you are only one and Alex is only one. I'm not sure how much people you do get in the various levels, but if you've got 12 people in each level, surely you can't divide yourself into 12, and he can't divide himself into 12. So what I'm trying to say is you need to have an aspect where you determine what is the need of the new person wanting to invest. And if his need is not life advice, maybe a Gen Z or whatever could have life advice, but somebody on 65 needs less life advice, but more practical guidance. And you've got to assess that when somebody joins it. And then somebody's got to consider, okay, if we've got a guy that wants practical advice, who is the best person available to give him some guidance on that? That is what I'm missing. And I think that is what we talked about. So I'm just refreshing your mind on that.
No, you're spot on. Look, we haven't forgotten about it, and I'm glad Shane is here as well. The only way to do these things is if you systemize them properly. And so what I mean by that is, and if you remember, and for the purposes of everyone else, I said that one of the things that I loved was a company that I met originally in China, and they had 2 million people that were learning about wealth and education. Now, admittedly, the 2 million people, some of them in yuan, which is, I think at the time was 6 or 7 yuan to $1. I don't actually know what it is now. But in simple terms, people at the lowest level, people had paid like $2 to join the community. So when I say 2 million people, it's a lot of people, but the lower level was really low. But what they did is that they had someone that, let's use our lingo, had been through Wealth Going Global. That would allow them to be certified, and they could then run a community of up to 250 people. So in WeChat, like WhatsApp, WeChat, they would have these groups, and they basically would create, because there's a lot of psychology out there, and 250 is actually a hell of a lot of people as well. But you get my point, where like there's a difference between a community and just noise. I mean, it's one of the reasons I don't like Telegram. I go on these groups with 5,000-10,000 people, and it's just a waste of time. There's just noise, like, and so where you're going, Eugene, and where I think you're 100% correct, is that the technology we wanted to develop, which has not been developed yet, but ultimately where you get it to communities and investor circles. And what you would then do is you could actually have someone coming in who's not doing it just out of the goodness of their heart. They're actually benefiting by providing that advice, and there can be like affiliate commissions and trail commissions, etc. But it's a win-win. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's a win-win environment, because you're effectively taking people that have done it, know it. They might want to do it because they want to generate revenue themselves. They also probably want to give back because they're so grateful that they got the knowledge themselves. So it's a combination of both. But effectively, you are scaling the knowledge with human interaction, so I think you and I are 100% correct. The only problem is, and Shane and Alex and I have chatted about this, you've got to have the systems in place, because if you try to do that without the systems in place, the whole thing will fall over, and then people will just be very upset. So we've been trying to figure out how to do that in a light touch way without, adding too much complexity.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent that the basics are already there. If you're looking at how can I say, giving somebody remuneration in for his time, I think there's that other website that you can go link into, and when you give a link to somebody, it puts it to your name and whatever. So I think the technology is there. I'm talking about making sure that when a guy joins the first time, you actually have an interview with him to make sure what is his need. And then if his needs is to go to this WeChat group sessions, let him go in there and allocate somebody that's doing crypto, somebody that's doing let's say a commercial real estate, somebody that does structured notes, not being an expert, but doing the donkey work, and say, listen, this is how it works, blah blah blah, quickly, because you don't want to be the expert. The experts is already there, and I think that's the lesson that you've learned and that we've learned. I don't intend to be the expert. I just intend to be the pathfinder, showing the guy which path to go on.
No, look, and I love the name, and Alex deserves the credit. I love the name Pathfinder, because that's exactly it. We can then, we're scaling, let's call it Alex and Scott, and we're having numerous Pathfinders that can help people. So Eugene, again, I tend to agree with you. The resources are there between the different home study courses, the community, it's mainly helping point people in the right direction. I think, the question I would sort of evolve it back. Like Shane's got a lot of things on his plate at the moment. And so it comes down to priority and, of how we do it from a systems perspective. Because even just setting up a meeting, I know it sounds easy, but, the mastermind, which is our highest level, you'd be surprised how hard it is to, meet someone, set up a meeting, have the meeting, follow up with, in mastermind case, Calio, organized between Calio and the individual. Like it is a significant time investment. And so without systems, like, you'll just fall over. It just won't work. So I don't know, Shane, I think Eugene and I are 100% aligned. The only thing that we might not be aligned on is he wants to start tomorrow morning. And I'm just saying I want to start once we're ready. So what do you think, Shane?
I guess there's two approaches. They could be like the manual approach, where it's like, let's start with something and see what that looks like on a very small scale to see how we can systemize it going forward. Maybe that's an option. But yeah, certainly, like we obviously know, we discussed all the time, the systems need to be put in place. But yeah, that could be an option.
Okay, so Eugene, I think the commitment from our side is we want to do it. We are going to do it. We're just trying to figure out how to do it. I tend to agree with you. Maybe I got sidetracked, I got sidetracked with thinking, let's get Alex. Like that was our next step. but actually you've sort of reminded me it can run in parallel. It doesn't just have to be Alex.
Okay, so that was the one comment. The other two things, the one you sorted out on the asset mastery, the PowerPoint presentations. Thanks very much. It's now there. I'm glad it at least
All of them except for the ETF. And Wilson can't find
yes.
the information.
Yeah,
I've
there's another
about 20 times.
Yeah, there's another one as well, but doesn't matter. At least you made progress on that one. And I also seen you've added crypto in there, which I'm not sure when you added it, but it's a good add to that. The second question I think was concerning the starter pack thing that wasn't included in the Pathfinder yet. I haven't seen that the starter pack has been added to the Pathfinder that I subscribe to.
So you mean the $100, the $100 in the wallet?
Yeah, and all the other things. So what I'm pointing to is that your system isn't working on that. Not on my profile. So please make sure your system works. When you want to add a starter pack as a Pathfinder, it must be there. Yes, obviously the guy must KYC. I get that. But after his KYC, please, your system is not, it's still not there. So please just follow that up for me.
Sorry, Shane, can you talk to that, please? Like, sorry, I'm Eugene. Like the whole purpose for me of the Q&A is to solve stuff like now, if that makes sense. So okay. Let's talk. I mean, so that's why Shane's here. So maybe Shane, firstly, if you understand what Eugene's saying, or if you need to ask a clarifying question, but what is not there, and all the resources from the starter pack, we just need to figure out how to join that dot.
Yeah, so I know, Scott, you told me about this a few weeks ago, which I did look into it, so I'm surprised that it's not working. So I think, Eugene, I don't know if you've got a little bit of time after this meeting, and we can jump into a private meeting and just sort that out.
I would, Shane, is it possible for me to contact you privately? I'm a bit short of time, so I don't want to rush this. I rather want to discuss it with you properly. Which just put in the chat what's the best medium that I can contact you, and then I'll get into contact with you.
Perfect. I'll connect with you. No problem.
Okay. Scott, from my side, that was the Pathfinder things that we discussed that gave me some feedback on. Obviously, you're going to have this once a month. So next month, if you haven't sorted out that, I'm going to remind you on the same question again. Be sure of that.
Well, that's the beauty of these Q&As, is that I'm on the spot no matter what I want to do. In the mastermind, we call that accountability, monthly accountability. So
I'm glad it works upwards as well. Okay, that's good. From my side,
again, sorry, Eugene, just quickly, but for everyone else who's on the call, I learned this originally from Roger Hamilton. It's amazing how many people have a goal, and month by month go by, and as I get older, like you blink. You like pay the bills at the beginning of the month or whatever, month end or whatever, and you blink and it's the end of the month. I mean, I'll be like, I can't believe it's the end of March again, okay? And because life just keeps rolling over. And what I learned from Roger Hamilton when I joined his mastermind in 2011 is every month you're checking in. And, I've never been someone, I might be the person who leaves it to the last minute, which, I'm definitely accountable for. But I'm not the person who's going to turn up and look like a fool in front of my tutor. So, I'd always turn up having the job done. But I would always do the homework the night before. But it meant that every month I made measurable progress versus talking about it and getting nowhere over 12 months.
Okay. Now, from my side, that is the questions I currently have. Thanks very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Eugene. And I appreciate, as I say to people, I love the constructive feedback. We all here as a community to empower and help ourselves. But the more we help ourselves, the more we help others. So bring it on, for me personally. It reminds me of a great story that Tony Robbins taught, and he said something along the lines of great people, hang on. Good people like to be patted on the back and given lots of compliments, and great people like to have constructive feedback because they can get better. So,
thanks, Scott.
How can we help? If anyone wants to just chuck up their hand or ask a question, Hendrik, I can see. I'm interested in what Alex will be offering to the millennials, ChatGPT, etc. I'll join the youngsters. Hey, listen, I'm not going to lie. It is weird, you know, and it's certainly happening to me quite a lot more frequently than I would like right now. But I mean, Alex has pretty much taught me ChatGPT. It's incredible how he uses it. I mean, he's taught me how to use the pro version and everything. And without him, I would have probably struggled to learn it. And it's one of the most incredible tools. It's just amazing. But, you know, it's amazing how he's taught. Well, Shane, I don't want to discredit you because you're also pretty good with it. But I mean, like we've created like an entire copywriter. We call her Jessica. We've literally trained ChatGPT in how we do stuff, our methodology, our communication, everything. It's phenomenal. And to put it into financial terms, if people want an ROI, in November, December of 2022, up until that period, we had on our payroll copywriter who cost 30,000 Rand a month. Full-time staff member, 30,000 Rand a month. And, you know, I'd write an email or Shane would write an email and we'd send it off to this lady, full-time employee, I'll remind you of that. And it'll take about 2 weeks to turn around like the email and come up with, and quite often you would kind of get the script back and it was like, she'd completely change the context of what you were trying to say. If you haven't used ChatGPT, it's phenomenal. Like we write the stuff, we put it in, like 5 minutes later, we got the answers. It's incredible. So yeah, I'm getting sidetracked, but it certainly was my biggest learning lesson of 2023 in terms of a resource to use, like the thing that we leverage the most. And I'll let you know a little trade secret, but we built the whole of Wealth Going Global and the challenge using ChatGPT. Yeah, no problem, Eugene. Okay, any other questions? If there are no questions, I wanted to tell you 2 stories. So this is more of a mindset thing. And again, back to Tony Robbins. I remember learning from Tony Robbins years and years ago. And he said, you know, so many people, Eugene, I see your hand, I'll come to you now. He said, so many people often have excuses. You know, there's a gentleman I know who lives here in Plettenberg Bay, and he's always got excuses why he doesn't have money. And, you know, it's so weird for me because I sit now, you know, I'm part of a men's group with this guy, and he basically, you know, will say, oh, I had a retreat on the weekend and I was supposed to run it, but, you know, I wasn't feeling well. So, you know, I didn't turn up, you know, but it's fine. I'm looking after myself. I'm taking care of my emotions. And I'm like, what? Like I've never heard so much BS in all my life. And the point I learned from Tony Robbins is that, like, when you need to do stuff, you step up, and it's this whole, you turn your wants into your needs. And I've had 2 examples in the last week. Last Wednesday, we had our mastermind session in the evening, and I got some really, really bad personal news, not even 30 minutes before. And I seriously considered, like, what do I do? And I was like, game on, put your game face on and get on the dance floor. I didn't sleep that night, literally at all. And on Thursday morning, we had our masterclass. And again, I lay there in bed, not sleeping all night and thinking to myself, well, do I tell the team, you know, we need to postpone this thing or cancel it? And I just kept coming back to Tony Robbins. It's like, no, game on, you know, like life happens, but, you know, you get on with it. And it was just a really interesting, for me, you know, lesson. And I don't really know why I'm sharing it for people other than to just remind everyone that there's a big difference between your needs and your wants. And if you need to do something, you'll always find a way. So yeah, I just a bit of a sidetrack moment, but just something that I think is something very, very paramount. Another great lesson based on those 2 things is that, you know, I've got a team and teammates, and you don't let your teammates down no matter what is happening. And you know, you do what you say. And so, you know, for the team, I had committed to be there, and, you know, and obviously all my mastermind members as well, my commitment is to be there. And it doesn't really matter what your excuses are. Like, my commitment's to be there. I said I would do it, and therefore I need to turn up and do it. Now, has this got anything to do with the Q&A? I don't know. I don't know if it's relevant to others, but I have learned in life that, you know, if you can start to trust yourself, then others can start to trust you. And I think trusting yourself starts with doing what you say. So yeah. bit of a side tangent there. But anyway, back to you, Eugene.
Yeah, just there's so many things one can say about that. For me personally, there's a saying that says if it's important enough, you'll find a way. Otherwise, you'll find an excuse. That to me is the short answer of everything. I think it's also very important to be able to share not just your wins, but your failures as well, because people don't want to be in the vicinity of just a person that never makes faults and never does anything wrong and life doesn't happen to him. So I think it's important that you do share those things. I'm not saying share your intimate secrets, but I think it's important to share it. That's the thing. What I was actually the reason why I raised my hand is because of I forgot the name of the guy now that works for Schindler. That put on
Maurice Crespi.
Maurice. To me, it's a very interesting direction to see the real world assets being tokenized. To a certain extent, that's actually what you've done with real estate in any case. So I'm very how can I say, excited with gold, silver, all the other asset class also being able to be tokenized. To me, I think that's the way to go. Obviously, the Gen Zs will know much more about it. I'm just talking about the ability to be able to invest in different asset classes with small amounts. That makes me very excited, as well as it's now on the blockchain, so nobody can dispute or steal your things and say it wasn't like that. Obviously, Maurice has made himself a niche market to be able to be a attorney in that environment. It's not a lot of them. So I just wanted to share that. Thanks.
Yeah, look, I think three things to your comment there. So the first one is we launched, to our understanding, the first real estate-based coin on the blockchain. Our platform was on the blockchain in 2016 already, on an ERC20. I don't want to get into the technology, but anyway. And it's interesting because we were so far ahead of time that, like no one really cared at the time. So I mean, this is the wealthy coin. We wanted it to be what's called a security token, which is what Maurice is talking about. But at the time around the world, the regulation only allowed us for it to be a utility token. So we've kind of spluttered and stumbled and started, and but the whole idea was exactly what you're talking about. And it was so interesting because my second point, so you can go to wealthy.io if you want to go look at it. I still fundamentally believe that this property, the one behind me here, will go on the blockchain and will be tokenized. So the second point we've got is, funny enough, on the Wealth Migrate platform, we have tokenized property. It's just based on the US dollar. So we've taken a property, it might be $10 million, and we've broken it up into chunks of $10, and you can invest from pieces of $10. So, and it's interesting because we were on the blockchain and we were told to go off the blockchain by the European regulator. It actually became a simple equation of, do you want to use Lemonway and European regulation? Thus, you have to use old fiat technology or, blockchain. So it's been interesting, the resistance that we've had, mainly from the banking sector and the regulator, which has been so frustrating because, I mean, literally Maurice talks about going singularity in 2019. Me and Jaco did it in 2015. Like, it was like, we've been doing this for 10 years already. And then my third point is, where you're 100% accurate with Maurice, is that everyone always thinks they've got a team. They're like, oh, I've got a property mate. I literally was talking to someone in Turkey recently with this. I've got a property mate. I've got a tech mate. I've got a salesman, whatever, a marketing man, and they're like, oh, cool, we got a team. Let's go and build a technology property investment platform. And I'm like, you're missing the point, and I missed the point as well. If you don't have a regulatory person, you're dead. You're literally dead. It's the hardest part of the entire equation. The tech is hard, the partners and the due diligence is hard, but the compliance is off the charts hard. And it gets harder if you go cross border, and it gets harder if you go into the crypto space. So the crypto tokenization space. So I've worked with Maurice. In fact, he won my first court case for me personally in 2010. So I've got a lot of experience of him being the bulldog in the boardroom and helping me win a case where we were David and we took on Goliath and we beat them. So, you know, to have him as someone who I've known for, well, what is it, more than 15 years, I think. What are we, 2024? 15 years. And then him to specialize in the space is extremely exciting for me because I know he knows his legal stuff, but to marry it together with the technology is crucial. Brendan asked a question here. He said, do you recommend the paid for version of ChatGPT? It's quite interesting, Brendan. So I kept saying to Alex, like, why would I go with the paid for version when the free version is so powerful? And Alex started to show me all the extra functionalities. As an example, you can upload Word documents, you can upload PDFs, etc. You can literally do summaries, which to my understanding, you can't do in the free version. I mean, so it costs $19 a month or something. So I started paying for it in November last year, I think. So I'd used it for most of last year. In fact, Shane, tell me if I'm right or wrong, but we did Wealth Going Global plus the challenge all on the free version. But to go to the next level, and again, this is really where we need Alex, quite frankly, is, you know, we've then created and I'm not even going to try and speak the lingo because I don't know, but we basically created our own AI bot, and we've programmed the AI bot with all of our own knowledge. So we've literally given them all our methodology, how we talk, our values in the company, all of that stuff. So it's literally like training an employee, you know, with all the values and the morals and the language of how your company operates so that they can then continue that languaging. I don't think that's available in the free version, as an example. So, but Shane, please can you jump in here, because I'm probably way out of my depth and talking about stuff I don't know. You know, but all I know is that Alex and I both went on the paid version because it was that much more powerful.
Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. So for Wealth Going Global and the challenge, we used the free version to help us build out the structure. Obviously, it's taking that structure and then putting all your knowledge into that structure. But on the paid for version, there's a number of different things you can do. Like you said, you can upload a document, which then the GPT will then scan and do whatever you want with that information. They can also scan live sites, so you can put in a link to go and find a site. If you want to do research, it also goes and scans like actual live sites, not just what it's indexed in the past. But I think one of the most powerful things is what they call GPTs. So you can create your own GPT. So let's say, for example, Wealth Going Global. We could create a GPT just around Wealth Going Global, all the information that we feed into it. And then somebody like Eugene could come in and ask a question, and it's only going to spit back results based on the information that we fed into it regarding Wealth Going Global. So it's our own version of our own GPT, and it kind of contains the information into the parameters of what we wanted to feed back. And a lot of people are doing that to do different things. Like I saw one where somebody, if you want to create a tattoo, basically you go in and it's not you asking the questions. It will ask you the questions, like, what do you want it to look like? Should it, have different colors? Should it have animals? Like whatever the parameters are. And then based on those parameters that you feed into the GPT, it will then create a design for you that you can then tweak as you go forward. So yeah.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Just by the way, we did a session, and I can't even remember who the session was, but it was a guy out of India that helped us with ChatGPT. And it was really interesting, but, with all due respect, I think we've got the in-house resources between Shane and Alex. I mean, what Alex is specifically doing, unfortunately, he couldn't join us today, but I have actually sent him a message and said, if there's any way you could join, please do. But the reason being is that what he's learned and he's self-taught himself over the last year is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, these GPTs are at another level. When you were a kid and your parents couldn't figure out the VCR and you were like, yes, I can't believe they're so stupid. Like, how can they not figure out how to use the VCR? That's how I feel about ChatGPT now with Alex. It's like the other way around. Any other questions? Chaz is saying, if you use it regularly, it's definitely worth paying for. The biggest learning on using any of these AIs as learning to ask the right questions and treat it as if it's a person. Yeah, so Chaz, it's a really interesting thing. And if people realize what I've done in the Wealth Insight for the last 2 weeks, the thing I bring out every Friday, I've pretty much said that, because I actually think the human brain and AI are very similar. And if you ask the right questions, you're going to get the right answers. If you ask stupid, bad, dumb questions, you're going to get stupid, bad, dumb answers. And I'm talking just with your brain. So if you go like, why am I so ugly? Why am I so unsuccessful? Why am I so unlucky? Then you're going to get the answers to your stupid questions. But if you ask great questions, you're going to get great answers. ChatGPT is no different. The power in ChatGPT is actually knowing how to ask questions. And between Shane and Alex, they've taught me, and please understand, if I was to give myself a scoring, I'm probably at 10%, if 100% is like really useful. But they've taught me how to use it and speak to it. But the part that I find the weirdest, which is what Chad's already said, is it's literally like talking to a human. It's like if you were talking to your copywriter and it comes back and it's too professional or not professional enough or whatever. But like when you type to it, please, can you take this email and please can you recreate it and make it professional, and you literally like use all the language. And I don't understand how it understands it. I'm not going to lie, but it just comes back. And from my experience, I've been writing, I've had the business now for 20 years. So I've been writing stuff, emails and blog posts and you name it for 20 years. And I consider myself fairly good at it. But it's amazing when you take what you've written and you put it in and then you get it back, including love letters, by the way. And the way it puts it in and you like get it back and you're like, my word, that's just like incredible. So yeah, if you're not using it, highly recommend it. Okay, let's move on. What other questions can we ask? Anita, how can I help you? You've got your camera on. Alvin, how can I help you? What can I do for you guys?
Hi.
Hello.
I'll just say, introduce myself though. I'm a newbie. I've been in the community for about a month or so from the diversification mastermind,
yep.
And I hopped on board with Wealth Going Global. I'll be honest, I haven't been able to get into the content yet. I'm time poor, so I need like a fast track, and I'm seriously considering joining the mastermind. I had a conversation with Alex about it. He sent me a report that was really great, and I want to go through the content of Wealth Going Global first before I look into joining the mastermind. So I'm in this position where I don't have bucket loads of time to put into it. I kind of want a fast track, but I understand it's a big learning curve. I'm also conscious that because it's a new venture for me completely, I'm part of Anne Wilson's community, so I'm doing the EFTs, etc. And I also invest in properties, bricks and mortar properties. But this online, globally diversified is completely new for me. So a little part of me is hesitant until I feel like I need to know everything about it before I can like dabble in it. But I'm intrigued by the fact that you can put in small amounts. So one thing I was looking at was whether to just start before diving into the content, just have like, a minimum monthly amount going into a couple of investments while going on so that I get the ball rolling. So I almost like have it as my sandpit, or whether to do everything first and then start to invest.
Yeah, look, sure. There's some, while you were talking there, it felt like I could do like a 2-hour presentation to reply to your question. Look, I think there's a couple of things I want to show you, and I'm just opening up a PowerPoint. So just reminding everyone that in a Q&A, it's to bounce around depending on what the question is. So I've got to find the PowerPoint to share it with you. So the first thing I wanted to just show you, and I know you've seen it before because you were part of the challenge, but I wanted to, well, actually, maybe I can't remember if I actually do this in the challenge, but have you seen this before? The formula for success?
Yes.
The story of Andrew Carnegie and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to remind everyone very quickly, at school, and exactly what Anita's saying, she wants all the clarity, and then once she's got the clarity, no disrespect, I'm not belittling you. We've literally all been trained how to do this from school. I want all the clarity, and once I got the clarity, I'll have confidence, and once I've got the confidence, I'll make commitment, and then I'll be successful. All of us were taught to do this. So we go to school, and it's like, no, I don't actually know enough at school. So I tell you what, I'm going to go to university. And then I go to university, and it's like, actually, I don't know enough with university. I need to do an MBA, whatever it is. You know what I mean? We're always trying to like find the next thing we need to do. And by the way, Anita, I'm not belittling you. I've done it myself. 14 years of degrees, honors degrees, cum laudes. You name the course, you name the coach, you name the mentor. I've paid for it. You know, who knows how much money I've spent. And then, you know, I learned the other way around. And it's this whole story of Andrew Carnegie where he just did it differently. And he made a commitment up front. He was like, right, I'm doing it. And with that commitment came confidence, and then came the clarity, and then came the success. Why I'm showing you that, I believe the old school way of doing it was to go out and learn a course. And, you know, again, Dr. You know, this like, no, where's he gone? Dr. Dolph DeRus would say, you know, come on a course of mine and spend me $8,000. That's what I paid him to go on a buyer's trip, $8,000. And we'll go look at houses and we'll walk the streets and, you know, all that sort of stuff. I think the world's changed completely. I think in the old days, it took years and years and years worth of learning before you could execute. I think nowadays, for me, the metaphor I like to use is it's the same as how we all learn to walk. None of us read a book to learn to walk, not one of us. And every one of us stood up, fell down, stood up, fell down, stood up, fell down, and eventually learned to walk. The only difference was some of us had a parent or a brother or someone or a sister that could like hold your hands and kind of teach you to walk, you know, so it could be easier than kind of doing it all on your own. So when it comes to investing, because of the way technology works, and it's not just on Wealth Migrate platform, it's on almost all of them now, you can micro invest. And if you invest $10 or $100, it ain't going to change your life in any way. Literally, the return is not even going to pay for a Starbucks coffee. But what it does do is that you start to see how it works and you start to build confidence. So you're learning while doing. And that for me is what I'm going to call the Andrew Carnegie approach, because you now made the commitment, you're learning while doing. You know you don't know everything. Like you consciously are like what's it, consciously incompetent. But the point being is that you're walking the journey, you're learning. You know, you invest in an industrial building, you're like, oh, okay, industrial pays monthly. Okay, I quite like that. You invest in something else, and it's like, oh, I don't quite like that so much, but it's not going to kill you because it was, you know, whatever. And then with time in parallel, you're growing your knowledge as well. And as your knowledge grows, you're going to feel more empowered. And as you feel more empowered, you're going to invest more. And as you invest more, you're going to get more results. And that's what Tony Robbins calls the upward spiral of success. If you don't do anything, like if from a belief system, you're like, well, I need to learn more, so I'll take action once I've like learned more. And I've got, you know, the problem is you don't get results, and then you go into a downward spiral. And that's what I think Anne calls the octopus on roller skates, because you're trying to do everything. You're doing 47 courses, but you're actually doing nothing. Like you're learning a lot, but you're doing nothing. And unfortunately, from my experience, and I mean my personal experience, I don't mean from learning from others, literally my personal experience, was that it's actually pointless going out and reading another 10 books or going on another 10 courses. It's better to kind of pick your lane and to implement. And even if you do the same course 5 times, do it, learn it, and, you know, actually implement it versus like learning something else. And again, I speak from my own experience, 14 years of, okay, I've got the honors degree, but I don't know enough. Let me go and get the master's degree. When I've got that, then okay, and then I don't have that. Okay, CRS, top out of America, ARPP, top out of England. You know, I could go on and on and on. And it was only when I actually just started executing that's when the real knowledge started to come. And I know I shared this in the challenge, but my third point would be, you can do it on your own, back to walking, or you could do it with someone holding your hand, which for me is the metaphor of the whole partnership thing, which again was my real breakthrough kind of from kind of 2010 to 2014. It took 4 years to find the right partner. So I want to be clear, when I learned it from Tony Robbins in 2010, it didn't happen overnight. And then only in 2014, when we started doing our first commercial buildings through partnership, did my mindset geometrically shift. Because then I realized I don't have to fly to America. I don't have to know everything about commercial property. I don't have to even know anything about medical buildings. I just have to find good partners. And that changed the game for me. So it's a long answer to your short question.
Yeah. I hear you. It makes sense. So I'm just going to dive in and just start and then go through the content as I go along. But I'm really curious about the mastermind and what exactly is involved in that. Could you tell me? I know you've talked about it before a bit, but could you tell me what it looks like?
Yeah. So in simple terms, we tend to say to people, there's 3 types of people. So there's the person that wants to do it on their own. Okay, and yeah, I mean, we've even got home study courses and whatever. You can go and do Wealth Going Global on your own, etc. Then there's people that want to do it in kind of a community, And that's like the wealth hacker community, and that can be hundreds of people and whatever. And we can do these kind of one-to-many sessions, if that makes sense, you know. And then you've got people that actually want to have like a bespoke solution, and they actually want someone to hold their hand, and they don't want to turn up to a webinar and have, let's just call it Calio or myself, just talking in a general way. They actually want to sit down and say, well, what's my life? Like, what do I need? How do I get my own plan? How do I get my tax and structuring sorted, etc. So the mastermind for us is like our more exclusive level, where myself and Alex and the team at Calio work directly with people, like one-to-one, but we also work in a like-minded group. Like, I know Alvin's online. We just spent the weekend together. Was it last weekend, Alvin? I can't remember. Was it last weekend or the weekend before? 2 weekends ago, I think it was. I'd love Alvin just to share, like, because there's a big difference between learning the knowledge and learning it within a group of like-minded people. And yeah, I'm sorry, Alvin, if you don't want to share, tell me to, piss off, but I'm just like, I'm putting him on the spot because he literally was there 2 weeks ago,
Yeah, Anita, I'll share my story with you.
Thank you. Yes,
you're asking specific questions. So I always wanted to do it on my own. And I worked a tough job. I worked in IT, high stress, difficult customers, never had time. And then I retired last year when I turned 66. And I thought I've got all the time in the world. And I started working with Ann Wilson. So I got an understanding of that, but I was intrigued by the property side. And then I met with Scott, and I realized what I wanted was more specialized. And I needed a conversation with Calio. And I had a conversation with one of the guys from Calio on the weekend. And that changed my outlook completely in how I'm actually managing this. So even though I'm time rich compared to you, and I joined the mastermind program in November, I hadn't started Wealth Going Global until I had the conversation with the Calio guy. And then I understood what the gap was. And Scott, I'm on 86% of Wealth Going Global. So I've done a lot of the legwork already. And my whole outlook has changed completely. So where I am right now, I'm actually saying, I want to have my first meeting with Calio. I'm more than likely going to hand over my existing portfolio to them to actually manage, and I'll pay the actual fee. And then what I want to do is I want to live life unlimited. I want to be free. I don't want to be reading financial reports, understanding everything. I will still do certain areas that I'm interested in. So I want to spend a lot more time studying crypto, Bitcoin, etc., because I come from an IT background. I really want to do that in detail. And it's liberating. Mastermind, I think, is liberated me. It's freed me to focus on what I want to do and let the professionals do what I actually need done. So it was a worthwhile investment for me. And the weekend was the turning point for me.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
And I think if I was to emulate what Alvin's just said there as well, this has been my own experience, not just from Alvin's perspective, but actually for me being part of masterminds, is if you're in a group of like-minded people, it's incredible how it pulls you like in a direction. Does that make sense? Because you actually don't want to be left behind in some ways, and then, etc. So we've also got things like we've set up accountability partners. So like Alvin and Werner work together. So it's not just me, it's because at the end of the day, Anita, I'm only interested in helping people get results. Does that make sense? Like we're not a mastermind company. I want to be very clear. Okay, we're here to get results. The mastermind is just a vehicle to help people get results. So, and again, it's not my idea. I didn't come up with it. I personally have been using and been part of them myself since 2011. I was just talking about Roger Hamilton's one. And so our whole purpose is to help people get results. Now, taking a step back, how do people get results? Well, mainly it's about accountability, okay? And it's also, if you're part of a group and you don't want to be kind of left behind, it creates momentum. And then also what can happen is you can also be inspired. So you can meet people and they go like, oh, I'm doing this, this, and this. And you're sitting there, and I'm sorry to be crude, but like you're sitting on your ass doing nothing. It's like, hang on, but Alvin's gone in 2 weeks and done 86%, but I'm time poor, I don't have time. Oh, hang on, but he's also time poor. You know what I mean? And like suddenly it's like, okay, hang on, I'm just making excuses here. So the power of community is hard to explain, but do understand that you've met with Alex. Every single person that's been part of the mastermind, Alex or I have met personally, because we take very seriously who joins, because it takes one bad apple to ruin a small group of like-minded people. And I'm sure Alvin would back me up here. I was actually quite surprised by the energy level of that weekend, because you had a group of like-minded people, and it was, for me personally, it was fantastic to be part of. Like, because very seldom in our lives do any of us get to experience being around a group of like-minded people that want to play at this level, and they're not whinging about the bloody government and, you know, whatever country you come from, like the usual crap that people worry about and talk about, and you're actually playing at this level. It's very unusual to be able to spend time with only those type of people, and that's what I enjoy the most, actually.
I think the best way to illustrate that, Scott, is, and we didn't know about it, we started working at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we finished around about 7:30, etc. And Scott said to Anthony, the guy that was answering most of our questions, just tell him you estimated that this session would take 45 minutes. So a guy that's experienced thought, oh, this is going to be dumb, you know, not really challenging questions. It'll only be about 45 minutes worth of content, then we'll be done and then we'll go to dinner. But there were 18 people in the room, and there were 18 different perspectives. And we could learn from everyone, you know, who was in a different space, had a different issue, was trying to achieve something very different, etc. And you could take that in, you know, digest it and internalize it and say, okay, that'll make a difference for me. Okay, and I came out of there with the 3 points that absolutely changed the way I look at investing moving forward. It was absolutely brilliant.
Can I answer one last question? And I see I've got 6% battery, so I'm going to have to run downstairs and get my power cable. But Anita, I just want to, and this is not just for you, it's for everybody, because most people are time poor. The best time management book I've ever read is a book called The One Thing. Have you read this?
Yeah, I haven't read it. I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, this is all about time blocking. So there's an audio book, there's a full book. I can share this with you. Are you on the Wealth Hacker group?
Yes. What group do you mean? What is it? A WhatsApp group?
Yeah, just the WhatsApp group. Yeah.
I am on a couple, but I don't know if it's the Wealth Hacker WhatsApp group.
Well, do me a favor. I'm going to put it on the Wealth Hacker group. If you don't get it, just message me.
Okay, sure.
And I'll put the summary down. It's only 10 pages long. I do recommend listening to the whole book, because, you know, like any book, the 200 pages with the story help you make sense. But ultimately, it's about time blocking. Like, what's important in your life needs to be time blocked. And I get this all the time. People are like, oh, I don't have 3 to 4 hours a month to be part of the mastermind. And I'm like, cool. Well, I can guarantee you outcomes won't be achieved. So let's stop wasting each other's time. Because if people don't have 3 to 4 hours a month to achieve their personal outcomes in 5 to 10 years, then we're kidding each other. Like, does that make sense? You know, so, and the beauty of The One Thing is that most of us live a life of distraction. And it's like, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll do my emails, and then I'll take telephone calls and, you know, whatever. And get to the end of the day, it's like, shit, I was busy. But like, what did I do today? And so what you do is, it's all about time blocking, and you set your life up for success. Obviously, there's an era of flexibility. But you know, one of the best things that I ever learned, as an example, okay, this is long before COVID. I work from home, okay? There's no such thing as an open door policy in my life. Like, if I'm working, you can't get hold of me if I've got something productive to do. Secondly, you time blocks. You do it in the morning before others can come and irritate you and change your energy and everything. So the most important thing, you put it in, you block out the time and you do it. It might be your fitness, it might be your health, it might be doing Wealth Going Global, whatever's important to you, but you get it done. And the third thing, which is the part I've struggled with the most, is you actually have the discipline to not let people override your time block. Because that's where I'm weak. So as an example, I take the whole of Friday off. I'm not allowed meetings on Friday. If you look at my calendar, it literally says no meetings Friday. I can't remember the last Friday. I haven't had a meeting. It's like ridiculous. So what I've got to do is get much better at blocking that. Okay. But that's a psychology thing, not an execution thing.
Yeah, my time blocks come in the form of 2 small children under 5, so they take up a lot of my time. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, and yeah.
Look, I hear you on the children, and please, I've only got my girlfriend, I've only got admiration for ladies that work full-time, trying to be, mom full-time. It's really, really challenging. The metaphor my father always gave me is where there's a will, there's a way. So,
Yeah.
and I don't know what the way is specifically for you, but a mixture between the one thing and figuring out exactly what you want. And back to the mastermind, the power, you and I work together, the power of getting clear on your outcome is immeasurable. Like when you know where you're going and why you're going there, which is what Alvin's talking about. We learned about the 3 buckets, and now he understands the buckets, and he's basically got the plan in his head. Now it's no longer scratching around in the sandbox. Now it's execute.
Yeah. So that's where I want to be. I want to kind of fast track to that, just being in the execute. So I was juggling whether to do the course and then do it. I think what I'm going to do is just do the investment and then do the course.
Yeah, and again, that's where, if I just share with you, this is the power of the coaching framework. Again, most people are in an away state, withdrawn, fearful, inability to make good choices, demotivated, basically excuses, or in a toward state, happy, ability to think clearly, creative, senior opportunities. There's only 2 ways to be in a toward state. 1 is be in a group of like-minded people. 2, get clear on your outcome.
Yeah.
Like, no disrespect, but when you tell me about 2 children, I'm sure you're an incredible mom, but like, these are reasons not to do stuff. It's bottom-up approach, low quality thinking. We need to get clear for you. Like, imagine now, if we turn that outcome into, I have 2 children and I want to make sure that by the time they're 20, they can study wherever they want, live wherever they want, to do whatever they want. I'm making it up. But let's just say that outcome became very clear for you. You'll figure out a way to do the rest. So that's what the high quality thinking is. And that's the power. And that's why back at the mastermind level, we start with a one-to-one facilitated process where it takes me 90 minutes to 2 hours to get very clear on what are your top 3 outcomes and what are your top 3 measures. And when you've got that, when you're clear on that, once you're clear on your why, you roll away the rocks.
Yeah. Great. When is the next onboarding for the mastermind?
We do it on an ad hoc basis. So when people qualify, then we set it up. Once they're ready, I'm ready, etc. So I'll just reach out to Alex and have a chat with him about that. Remember, it's not a group thing; it's a one-to-one thing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Right.
So sorry. Okay, let me rephrase that. The mastermind's a combination between individual and group. So what I mean by that is, at an individual level, it's what is Anita's needs? What is Anita's personal balance sheet, and how do we optimize that? How do we get a wealth plan? Like, that's all personally for you, okay? Then the mastermind's a group of collaborative people that all have their own individual bespoke plans, but are collectively working together to make them a reality.
So is it like a session on a one-to-one once, and then it's group?
Completely. So, well, no. So it's a session. I do a one-to-one session with you to get clear on your outcome. Then we pivot to Calio, and they get very clear on your current financial structure and everything else. Again, one-to-one session. Then it's about setting up the plan, and then we work in a collaborative approach to execute on the plan.
Okay. And it's all through Wealth Migrate.
Correct. Yeah. So obviously between us and Calio. So maybe I'm misunderstanding your question, but in simple terms, the first 3 steps here are all about like a one-to-one, and steps 4 and 5 are where we do it as a group on a monthly basis.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem. I hope it helps.
Yeah, it does. Thank you
And
very
Alex is, sorry, not Alex, Shane has put in the link for the Wealth Hacker group in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just putting power in, otherwise we're going to lose power. But yeah, so if you just want to join that, because that's where I intend to sort of just share resources that will be valuable for people, etc. Completely. Sorry, I just realized I wasn't recording. Okay, anything else I can help with? I can stay and answer questions, but I know we're sort of on the hour. Anything else that I can assist with? Shane, anything I'm missing that I haven't answered? Sorry, I didn't get I can't see the chat backwards.
Yeah.
If there's anything I missed.
No, so I don't see any new questions that have come through. So I think we've covered all the questions that are in the chat. Unless anybody's got any last words, we can close out.
Well, I've got a closing comment. We're doing a webinar in 56 minutes, and it's for the people who invested in the Wuppertal deal in Germany. 2 weeks ago, I met with the gentleman that runs that. He lives in Germany. His name's Peter Katz, and he's been investing there for a long time. And I've been wanting to invest in Europe for a very long time, and specifically Germany, because it's the powerhouse of Europe. And we just haven't been able to get in. I'm talking 20 years to be exact. Like, because our philosophy is, how do you find the right partners and right information? And I haven't been able to find them. Anyway, I met this gentleman face to face on 2 weeks ago, and I was very, very impressed. So we've got a private session with all the Wuppertal investors now in 55 minutes. And then next month for the mastermind, he's actually going to be our special guest that's going to be running through why Europe. Because the one thing is to be diversified. You don't just want to all be in America or all be in England, or, you want to be diversified. And so he's going to be running through why Germany, which cities. So I'll just give you a fascinating thing. There's 7 cities that all the institutions invest in. So how do you avoid those 7 cities so you're not competing with the institution and find real value on the table? And there's a certain number of cities with a certain number of criteria that you focus on. So what is that? And then, which assets do you focus on within those cities, and which ones perform better during COVID so that your money is protected in an economically resilient way where your cash flow is predictable? I mean, I was just blown away talking to this guy. So I can't wait to share what we're about to do in 54 minutes and then next month with the mastermind participants. So I just want to kind of put it out there that one of the greatest gifts that I get given is that I get to meet these partners and learn all these different aspects. Because I mean, if you said to me Germany, all I know about Germany is where the beer fest is. So, like, don't ask me which city to invest in, but that's the point. Let's go and find the right people, Anyway. Okay, everyone, we'll have a wonderful month, and wherever you are in the world, enjoy your Easter long weekend. I'm sure most people are having a long weekend all around the world. And I think let's finish with what Anita said, and what she asked. My strong belief in life is to learn while doing, because we'll never know enough to get started. So my strong recommendation is, start taking a step today towards the life you want. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everyone. Take care.